Hello everyone. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 13 of Going the Distance. I'm Nicholas Delgado, and I'm your host for everything to do with high school running in Central Illinois. Make sure to follow on Instagram and other socials at Going the Distance IL, and tune in every Wednesday for a new episode. Also, check out our new website at www.goingthedistance.co. This past week was the state finals for IHSA. Very great races, super fun to be there. It was great weather. Some top tier performances, leaving some good runners of the week to close out the season. We also have a great interview later in the podcast, so stick around for that. So let's just get right into it. In 1A state, Tuscola comes away with the win in 97 points over Benton with 104 points. A little bit closer than was expected, but I think Tuscola had a little bit of some issues with their runners, one of their top runners, which kind of threw off because they weren't necessarily super deep, so that kind of threw off their points a bit. But they still come away with the win. Those were the top two trophies. Elmwood comes away with the third place trophy with 166 points, and Niles Northridge Prep in fourth place with 202. Gavin Genesio, the senior of Benton, wins individually in 14:12.56 over Isaac Teal, the senior from Pinckneyville, in 14:29.39. Then third place was Jackson Barrett of Tuscola in 14:40.55. The local teams that I just chose all the local teams that made it to state, and I put their place along with all state individuals locally. So the local teams, Eureka got 5th place, Notre Dame got 7th place, El Paso Gridley got 14th, Delavan got 22nd. And then individually there were 4 All-Staters. Isaiah Hill from Elmwood comes in 5th place. Dean Witzig from El Paso Gridley places 16th. Maxwell Kirby from Notre Dame places 20th. And Joe Earhart from Notre Dame places 23rd. Top 25 for All-State, if you didn't know. So those were the 4 runners in the top 25. So congratulations to them. For some local shoutouts to on the girls' side, Notre Dame trophies in 3rd place, Eureka trophies in 4th place, El Paso Gridley in 12th, and then the one All-Stater from the area, Mika Bender from Eureka, in 20th place. In 2A state, Marion wins with 112 points over Glen Ellen, Glenbard South with 173 points. Chicago Payton's right behind with 200 points, and Maple Park Canelan comes away with that last trophy with 220 points. Dylan Nally, the senior of Marion, very expectedly comes away with the win in 14:05.20 over Trey Sato, the senior of Grays Lake Central, in 14:21.49. And Dale Johnson comes in 3rd. He's a senior from Sterling. He comes in at 14:22.91. Once again, the local teams there, Morton got 5th, Normal University got 9th, Washington 12th, Dunlap 24th. And the All-Staters in the area are Jonas Blethrich from Morton, who got 14th, Josh Weeks from Morton, who got 19th, and Mason Hart from Normal U High, who got 24th. The local shoutouts on the girls' side, a lot of local teams there, Washington placing 4th and trophying, so congratulations to them. Normal U High placing 16th, Dunlap 17th, Morton 18th, and then Metamora 26th. The All-Staters were Becca Heitzig from Lincoln. She won, actually. And then Natalie Beerbaum from Normal U High placed 4th, and Zoe Carter from Normal U High placed 5th. Moving on to 3A, Downers Grove North wins with 79 points over Plainfield North with 125 points, over their counterpart Plainfield South with 134 points. Coming away with that last trophy is the Grange Lions with 207 points. Individually, Aiden Banduquala comes away with another state title. The senior of Hinsdale Central runs a 14:13.56 to beat Kami Vijay, the senior of Plainfield South, in 14:17.93. And the bronze medalist Ben Crane, the junior of Winnetka New Trier, in 14:20.16. An interesting fact, or a couple interesting facts, all the individual championships from the guys' side were repeat champions. So Gavin Genesio, Dylan Nally, and Aiden Banduquala all won last year and came back and won this year. So crazy day on Saturday. Congrats to all of them. Another interesting fact, in the 2A girls side of state, there were 29 teams when there's supposed to be 28. I was informed of this. Well, actually, I found it, but I was informed of why. And apparently, if you tie at sectionals for 7th place, even if you lose the tiebreaker, if you tie in this amount of points, you both go to state. So there were 29 teams on the girls' side for 2A girls. So that was an interesting fact I found. Thought you guys might enjoy that. So let's move on to the individual performances for the weekly top times for the whole state. Obviously, these are all going to be at the state meet. So Gavin Genesio on Saturday at the 1A state meet. The senior from Benton ran a 14:12.56 to win the state title. He tied the season top time for the whole state of 14:12.5. Jackson Barrett, the senior of Tuscola, set at the St. Joseph Ogden Spartan Classic on September 23rd. Now, there can be arguments that he should be here instead, considering that Spartan Classic is all on road. But that's that. Technically, Jackson Barrett still has a faster time, because even though it's 0.5 and not the same amount of decimal places out, the clock still gets the hundredths place, even if it doesn't report it. So Jackson Barrett ran something that rounded to 0.5, and Gavin Genesio's would round to 0.6. So time-wise, assuming I knew nothing about the courses, Jackson Barrett has the fastest time for the whole year. But we'll get to that in a second. So that I decided to keep his time. But a point could be made for Gavin Genesio, obviously, here in his on grass. The senior from Marion, Dylan Alley, wins the state meet and sets the weekly top time for 2A in 14:05.20. And for 3A, in Bindukwala, the senior of Hinsdale Central, sets the weekly top time for 3A in 14:13.56, which was so close to taking the season top time. But let's get right into this. The season top times, like I said, Jackson Barrett, the senior of Tuscola, wins, I guess. He has the season top time for the whole state for 1A, so congratulations to him. He finishes the season with that time. But like I said, you can make an argument for Gavin Genesio having that season top time. Second, and for 2A, Dylan Alley, the senior from Marion, has the season top time. He ran a 14:0.2 at the Richard Spring Invitational. Sadly, we couldn't see him break 14 at state this year, but I'm sure he'll run great at his postseason races like Nike, but we'll get to that later. So yeah, Jackson Barrett for 1A and Dylan Alley for 2A so far had the season top times at the end of the year, because I'm only taking times up to state. So based on this year's performances, those are the fastest people in 1A and 2A. And then for 3A, it is still Kami Riget, the senior of Plainfield South, who ran a 14:12.9 last week at the Granite City 3A sectional, just surviving Aiden Bandukwala this week at state. So congratulations to those guys. They keep the season top times. None of them set at state this year. So very interesting. But yeah, let's get into runner of the week. Locally, I chose Isaiah Hill, the senior from Elmwood. He just stood out to me a ton. He led his team to a third place trophy, and Elmwood placed the top in the team in the area for 1A. And his 14:48.95 time earned him 5th place overall in 1A, which is now the top time in the Central Illinois area this weekend and this year. So really, I just had to choose him for this week's runner of the week, setting the area top time for the year and week. So great pick there. Congratulations to him. He finished a strong season. I look forward to seeing what he can do in track, obviously coming off a good cross season and a very good track season last year. Statewide, I had to choose Dylan Alley, the senior of Marion. He won the 2A state finals in 14:05.20, which was the top time of the day. He set the 2A state finals record, and he led his team to the championship as well with 112 points, which was a 61-point win. And he ran basically no competition after the first mile. So good job to him. I wish I could have seen him break 14 or go for that course record, but obviously a lot of good things need to combine to happen, like Jim Madsen said last week. So couldn't make that happen. But it was such a great race to watch anyways. Congratulations to him. For the weekly outlook, next week will be the last episode of the season 3 of Going the Distance before I take a break for track season, but we will resume for track season. But so be looking forward to that. I'll be talking about, it won't be a long episode at all. No official IHSA events, but we will be covering NXR Midwest and beyond, which I will explain a little bit more about what that is next week. So let's get right into this awesome interview. I hope you guys stuck around for it because I really enjoyed interviewing this person. So tune in, listen in. We have Sophia Ramirez from Washington, top runner over there. She's super talented, a sophomore. So let's get into this interview. I'm here with Sophia Ramirez. She is a sophomore from Washington, very talented runner. She won the Metamora Regional this year and placed very well at state. although she did have an injuries, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So thank you for coming on, Sophia.
Yep.
So one of the first things I wanted to ask is just how did you get into running in general?
Well, my mom actually got me into running. She was a runner. Like she just did a lot of like 5Ks, and so, she'd have me go on a lot of runs with her, and so I started like liking it, and then I figured out we actually had a cross country team at my middle school, and so I joined that when I was in 6th grade all the way up through 8th grade. My 6th grade year, my mom was like, she was kind of forcing me. She's like, Sophia, you should really do this, and I was like, I really don't want to. Um, but as I like did it more, I really like started to enjoy it, and now I just couldn't imagine like what I would do if I wasn't running cross country.
Yeah, so I had the same thing. My mom kind of forced me to do it in 8th grade, and here we are. So I didn't ever realize that cross country and track they could be so fun, but the team aspect of cross country is really what makes the sport so special for me. So what's your favorite part of cross country?
Like you said, like the team, I just can't believe that I was blessed with such an amazing team. Like it's incredible. We're so young, like we're not even losing anyone for next year, which is incredible. And like really all of the girls on my team are like my sisters. Like I can go to them for anything and everything. And it's really just, if I've had a bad day at school, I just get to go to practice and talk to them and enjoy. Like who knew that I would love going running for fun, but it really is just such a stress reliever, and I love competing, and my favorite part is definitely just my team. Like they are so uplifting, and I could not imagine doing it with anyone else.
I know that's something that for our girls team as well that we've not just our girls team, but mostly our girls team that we've talked about is just kind of like how to bring everybody up, I guess, like to boost them up confidence wise because the mental part of running is really tough, and that's definitely something I wouldn't have realized going into it. Like I was like, yeah, running sucks, but then being with that team and having everybody like cheering you on through the finish is just really helpful. So it's great to have a nice team around you, and it's great to have a team that's young and all your age, so you're able to like grow with them and be with them for a full 4 years. That's something I've been kind of blessed with too. My team, I've had a lot of top runners in my grade, so I've gotten experience the past 4 or 5 years with them. So let's get more into the like postseason and actual running part. So obviously you had a very strong start to the year going into conference regionals. You won conference, you won regionals, like I said. So kind of walk me through how those conference and regional races went for you. What was your plans going into it? What did you want to do? Did you accomplish your goals?
Yeah, so our coach has a really great training schedule, so he has us peak at the perfect time, and we always discuss like race strategy, going into it, like competition wise, like do I have good competition, and like what I should do. So for conference, I definitely just kind of like went out and like tried to do what I could, and I did exactly what I wanted, and same with regionals. And I think that it also helps just having like family and coaches that do support, and it's my school too is amazing. And I think just talking through like, okay, like how should I go out, how should I finish, how should I, play this out? Do I need to go out fast? Do I need to kind of stay back just to kind of see like where I'm positioned at? And I think this year for regionals and conference, it just really worked out, and it's just really nice to be able to kind of talk out. And I know that my parents help out with that a lot too, just kind of getting the nerves out, because it can be like nerve wracking, especially like having won regionals and conference last year as well. So that's just kind of my mentality through it.
Yeah, so being in the at such a high level of racing has to be really challenging. I get really nervous before my races, and I'm never usually in a position to win anything. So that's got to be tough. And
Yeah.
kudos to you for pushing through all that stress. But going into sectionals, you actually sat out sectionals because of an injury, right? Kind of talk me
Yeah.
through that injury and kind of how it affected you and your training going the last few weeks.
Yeah. So I ran regionals, and I think that I've just like with summer training, we start super early in the summer. So I'm running 7 months out of the year, 5-6 days a week. So I think that my body was just really tired. And so after regionals, I was at practice and I just was feeling a lot of pain. So I went to go see my athletic director, and he was like, yeah, I don't want you running this whole week. We'll see how it kind of plays out. So I actually cross-trained and I did swim. And so I have a first-degree tear in my quad. And going into sectionals, it was really heartbreaking not being able to run. Like, I have never had an injury that kept me from running a race. And so it was very devastating and very hard for me. But I was so proud of my team, winning sectionals. And all of our girls did absolutely amazing. And they, like, kicked it into gear. And they were all super supportive. And unfortunately, this year had a lot of injuries in store for our team. But the outcome was still incredible for how many of our top runners had injuries. But I definitely am going to work on taking care of myself. And I wasn't able to run for 2 weeks, which was kind of devastating because, I didn't really know what to do in that situation. But our athletic director really helped out, and I'm on the road to recovery. So hopefully for track season, I'll be back and better.
Yeah, so that's funny that you say that about the swimming part, because I had a fracture in my foot, which some people who listen to the podcast know, at the beginning of this year, not a stress fracture, just a fracture, and I actually went to 5 Points and I did some jogging training to cross train and did some biking. So that's very interesting to hear you say that. And if you want to check out my episode with the personal trainer, it's a couple episodes back, make sure to go check that out. Little plug. But so talking about that, moving into state, obviously your time's still really great. I don't want to put it down or anything, but not the race you probably wanted. What were you? I know it was probably hard to set a goal knowing that you had not been running, but what were your visions going into the race, and how were you able to execute them with your injury?
So prior to state on Saturday, that Friday was my very first time running in 2 weeks, and I only ran a mile. And going into it, I knew that I was going to be in pain while running, which wasn't what I wanted because the season had really been going great. But, I had to roll with the punches. So we did everything I could. I had a compression sleeve on to help. And the first 2 miles, I was like, okay, feeling good. I had a good timing crossing the 2 mile, and then just running the 3rd mile, my leg just started to give out, which was really, really unfortunate. And I had a very hard time after the race too, just being upset, not placing how I wanted, not getting the time. But I knew that, it was the outcome that was supposed to happen. And I knew that God had done this for a reason. So I just didn't want to be too discouraged. But I was definitely, with having this injury, I was only 10 seconds off my time from last year at state. So I was very proud of how I ran, even though it was painful. And I'm excited to see what next season's going to bring, because I think that if not all, well, not like most of our top runners were injured, that we would have had a very good chance at getting 1st or 2nd place.
Yeah, you guys have a really great team, and it'll be interesting to watch back. So I'll be going to college, but looking back at the results from the state meet, and hopefully you guys continue to place well. But you obviously have a lot of time ahead of you, so don't get too down on yourself. You got 2 more years of cross, 3 more years of track. But yeah, injuries do suck. But hey, you made it through regionals. You got to run state, so obviously not what you wanted. But leading into just some future stuff, what are your goals for this track season and in future cross and track seasons?
Yeah, so for track, I want to continue to run the mile. That is my favorite event. I love it. Hoping that I can stay sub 5 minutes. At state for track, it was just such an awesome environment. I never experienced that before, being a freshman. And the competition is so good. You don't really know how it feels until you're there. But yeah, and for like next season for cross country too, just continuing to improve the times and really working on like my mentality. Like, running is mostly mental, so really just focusing on like having a better mentality. But I'm hoping that I can continue running all the way through college. That would be like my dream. That's just like something that I've dreamt of forever since I was like in sixth grade starting to run. So we'll see what is in store, but I'm very excited for this track season and the events and continuing to improve my times.
So yeah, your mile time last year, 4:54 as a freshman. I must say that is very impressive, and it makes me a little jealous because as a freshman myself, I only ran 5:03, I think, and I was very, very upset when I ran that because I was so close to breaking 5. So it must have been really great last year for you to run such a great time and to place fifth, right, in state.
Yep.
So just that's good job to you. Congratulations. I wish you luck on your future seasons. Obviously you have speed. You ran sub 1 in the 400, 217 and 800. So is that, I just a question, have you ever considered going up a little bit to the 32, or do you like to stick just with the middle distance races?
I have thought about it a few times, but I don't know. I just get so scared to like run like that distance. I thought about trying it last year, but I kind of never, just like with running 4 events, every single meet was very draining. So I didn't really want to add something. So we have a few really good 2-mile runners on our team. And so I just like to stick with like 800 mile. Like that's kind of like even the 400 is not like my favorite event. So I like sticking with like the mile and the 800. It's kind of like my comfort zone. But I have definitely thought about it. I don't really know if I ever do it, but it's definitely something that I think I genuinely don't know how people do 8 laps around a track. That is incredible. And the people who run that fast is like, it's insane. But yeah, I definitely prefer to stick to my middle distance when it comes to track.
Yeah, see, you're in a position where you run a lot of events, and obviously you're pretty quick in all of them. Our teams are kind of similar in the way that we have people to fill each event, so it's you kind of have. I don't want to be like you have to choose one and stick with it, but it's easier for you to just choose one and stick with it. So I think that's cool that you specialize in that middle distance. It's really great to see you go out there, represent the Central Illinois area at bigger events like state. But other than that, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate your time. It was really great to interview you.
Thank you for having me. It was very fun to be on this podcast.
That was a great interview. I'm so glad I got to interview Sophia Ramirez. And make sure you guys tune in next Wednesday for the last episode of Season 3. It'll be episode 14, the most episodes I've ever had in a season. So definitely tune in for that. I'm super excited to be recording these postseason races. But other than that, make sure to follow all our socials at Going the Distance IL. And like I said, tune back in Wednesday for a new episode. Visit our website at www.goingthedistance.co. And I'll see you next week. Have a great rest of your day.